Hey guys, it's Mackenzie, your mommy's media medium. Oh my god, can you believe? It's December 4th, guys. December 4th. Putting it at about 6 months. 6 entire months since the last time I did a podcast. I am so freaking lazy. I don't even know like what kind of word I can use. Bum. I can use slacker. I can use all kinds of words to describe what has been going on in my world over the last 6 months that kept me from doing a podcast. And yeah, they would all sum up to mean the exact same thing, that I don't know. I did not feel like doing any podcast for the longest time. Now, that's a lie. I did feel like doing podcasts. It's just, I felt like every time I would say, okay, I'm going to do a podcast today, something would come up. Literally, every time I would say I'm going to do it, something else would come up. There were other times that I was legit like, I'm not going to do it and I'm just going to be a bum and sit and watch TV, which is what I did. But yeah, man, like every freaking time, even today. Today I'm like, yeah, for sure, I'm doing a podcast. What did I do once I dropped my son off? I came home and started wrapping presents. And it's like, what are you doing? You said that you needed to sit down and do this stupid podcast, and instead you're doing something else. Now, of course, I am doing something else that I need to get done because there's boxes all over my house and it's very annoying. And the only reason why it even caught my eye is because the boxes were right in front of the chair that I sit in when I'm doing the podcast. So that's why I'm like ADD when it comes to like cleaning and whatnot. I'm one of those people that I'm cleaning one thing and I happen to stumble upon another thing and I'll start doing that other thing, forgetting the thing that I was already started. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, what was I doing? Now I'm on a completely different task. I didn't even finish the first task. That's how I am in my mind in everything that I do in life. And that's why it is now 10:46 a.m. on December 4th, 2018. And I am just now sitting down to do this podcast when I said the minute I walked in the door from getting my Starbucks, because you know Starbucks is still life for me, that I was going to sit down and do this podcast before my hypothetical spin class. Now, I have a lot to catch you guys up on with my life and whatnot, but one small blip is I have been doing spin class when she offers it in the afternoon time because it's so much easier than trying to do it in the evenings, especially now because she's adding like kickboxing classes and yoga and all these other things. She's making her classes way too late for me. It's at 7 o'clock, 7:30. I'm ready to get in my jams. I'm not trying to go work out. And with my son and my husband, they're horrible at doing routines. Even when I set the Alexa to give announcements to say, hey, it's time for Chicky to put on his jams. It's time for Chicky to have his last snack. It's time for Chicky to go to bed. They still can't get it together. So it's like I can't really do really late time spin classes, and that's why I've been trying to take the afternoon classes. The only thing with the afternoon classes is if she doesn't have at least 3 students, she'll cancel it. And one of the students that I knew for sure was supposed to come is my neighbor. She ended up having to go to work today because George H.W. Bush passed away this weekend. And so Trump like did an executive order for the federal government to be closed tomorrow in remembrance of it, which is, you know, great, but maybe do it on Monday so people could have had a 3-day weekend. That would have been like for legit. I think a lot of people would have enjoyed that more than like that middle of the week hump day off. Or maybe they do enjoy it. I don't know. But anyway, because of that, she had to go into work today when she was going to telework and go to the spin class and then come back and do some more work. So I don't know, fingers crossed, whether or not my 12 o'clock spin class will actually be in session for another probably like 15 minutes or so. But anyway, the main thing that I wanted to do today was do my recap of what happened over the summer and a recap of what's been going on in the last 6 months, which is what I was supposed to do way back in August. I told you guys that like, yeah, I'm going to take the summer off, and once my son goes back to school, I'm going to come back and do podcasts. Dude, the last like 2 or 3 episodes I didn't even get edited and posted until August. So that tells you what's been going on in my life. Like it was just like crazy town. Like I felt like we weren't doing that much, but we were doing a lot. You know, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying when I say that, but like I just felt like drained all summer long because every week we were doing something back to back to back. So I'm going to be doing an update. This is going to be an update episode. It should be short, famous last words. And I'm just going to like catch you up on the stuff that was happening before I went on break, because I had so many mishaps. I didn't realize how angry I was going into summer vacation until I was editing those last few podcasts, and I was like, dang girl, like Moody Bird wasn't doing you any justice at all. Like, so bad. So bad. But yeah, I just wanted to catch you up on the things that happened, and I guess kind of fill you in on what's been keeping me from doing podcasts the last couple of weeks. Nothing really like major, but you know, I'll get into it. So first things first, let's get back to what I was talking about. One of the things before I left, I was telling you that I had tried out a new coloring shampoo called Punky Color. And I didn't know whether or not me dyeing my hair and then putting the punky color on made it, you know, shine the way that I thought that it did, or if I was just making it up in my head. Well, guys, it indeed did work. I have been using Punky Color all summer long. I was, as a matter of fact, also using it on my son's hair all summer long, and he got so many compliments, like legit a ton of compliments. Everybody kept asking if that was his natural hair color, which was very odd because I was putting the pink tabulous color in his hair, which is a color that I use, and it made his hair like a beautiful auburn color. It was so nice, and people would come up and say like, oh my god, aside from people always coming up and talking about how great his hair is when it's actually done, he has, you know, magnificent curls. So other than people coming up and saying like, oh my god, his hair is awesome, they would also ask like, is that his natural hair color? And I'm like, yeah, I wish. But yeah, it gave him a great auburn color. Like I said, it looked awesome. And then on my own hair, it helped, one, cover up the grays. I have all these grays coming in that has to do with, of course, aging. And also, two, taking the Rogaine, which I'll follow up with my androgenic alopecia as well. But yeah, so the color not only helps cover my grays, but it also kind of keeps my color very vibrant. And I've been, like I said, I've been using it all summer long, and I love it. It is well worth the money. As a matter of fact, during the end of the summer, Target had put them on clearance, and I was like, oh my god, are they discontinuing it? Because if they are, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to have to actually dye my hair, because this, like I said, it's a wash in color. As you wash your hair, it comes out. I haven't done my son's hair probably in about a month and a half, and he still has residual pinkish color in his hair, but it's like the more you wash it, the more it'll come out, but it's not a permanent hair dye, which of course we all know. If you've listened to me in the past, you know that my hair hates color, but at the same time I hate having brunette hair. I can't stand having dark hair. This helps me to, you know, have that healthy balance where I'm not so much dyeing my hair, but I'm also not walking around with my natural hair color and feeling like I want to like chop all my hair off, which is what ends up always happening. But over the summer, my regimen has literally been like, put it on, put a cap on, and then leave it overnight. And I find that I get the most results by doing it that way. You're also supposed to be able to just do it in the shower, but I feel like I can't do as much coverage. One, because I don't have a mirror in my shower, and two, because even though I'm in the shower maybe 15 minutes total, and that's aside from washing my hair. If you want the best results, you want to leave this on for a little bit longer than that 15 minutes. I've done it for an hour and had good results. But of course, like I said, having it sit overnight works a lot better, and it has amino acids and keratin in it, so it's actually also healthy for your hair. So check it out. I did recently see it on the Target app being offered again, so I guess they probably just maybe revamped the whole like system, or you know how companies do it. They'll be like, oh, this is our first batch and now we want to put out a new batch that has one extra ingredient, so we'll put the other stuff on clearance. And like I said, because I didn't know whether or not they were going to discontinue it or not, I bought like 6 or 7, and you know, I've been living off of those because I was so afraid that they were going to discontinue it, and then what would I do? too. But like I said, I did recently see at Target online that it was being offered. So obviously the punky color is something that is still going on. If you want to have hair that has a bit of a color without actually permanently coloring your hair, of course, if you're a brunette like me, it's not going to show up as vibrant as somebody who has blonde hair. But at the same time, it does give you a great color, especially if you're out in the sunlight. It's wintertime, so there's no real sunlight to be had. But during the summertime, I mean, I got a lot of compliments as well, along with Chicky, that like my hair color was awesome because that sun shining its beautiful rays. I'm missing the sun right now. It's kind of like dreary out there. It's like overcast right now and it's kind of giving me the blues. But yeah, like going out in the sun, you can see it. It's great. It pops. And then when you're back inside, especially if you have a 9-to-5 job that maybe you can't have colored hair, nobody's going to know the difference. Of course, unless you're a blonde. If you're a blonde, then yeah, putting any of these pinks or reds or blues, it's going to show up like, whoa. But a brunette like myself, you can pull it off and have your, party in the sunlight and, conservative while you're at work. However that works, kind of like a mullet. Part two, my Rogaine follow-up. I told you that my 3-month follow-up to my initial consult with my dermatologist, that she had recommended an oil. And I was like, oh, why didn't you tell me about the oil before? So I have been using the oil all summer long, and I feel like it still kind of does the same thing as a foam. The distribution is a little bit more like, I guess it's because the texture is not a foam, it's an oil. I feel like I'm not really getting it distributed as well as I did with the foam, but I'm also able to do it a lot quicker with the oil because you kind of just stick the little droplet thing in and like swish it over your hair or whatever. But also a follow-up, I had my 6-month follow-up to my 3-month follow-up to my initial consult at my dermatologist for my androgenic alopecia. And dude, guys, seriously, like, I cannot believe how I was walking around for the last couple of years. She showed me my initial consult that was, I believe, at the end of January, maybe sometime in the beginning of February. And then I had my consult in May. And then just recently, and it was like, oh my word, like the amount of hair that has grown back. I just can't even put it into words because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I was walking around bald headed. Like I showed my friend Joanna the pictures and she was like, I didn't know this is what your hair looked like. Like I saw you all the time. And I guess because you don't pay attention, or even if you are paying attention, you just think that that's how somebody's hairline is. A lot of people do in that crown area where your temples are, have those baby hairs where you kind of just like have a sprinkle, and some people just have like patches that, are there, but then they're not there or whatever. And that's just how some people's hair is. It's just, I knew mine to be different. And using the Rogaine and the ketoconazole shampoo, the fungal shampoo, has helped me immensely to regrow my hair. So like I said, if you have anybody that that is thinning, they had a baby and it's like my hair feels thinner, or even yourself, go to a dermatologist, get that checked out. Don't be embarrassed about it. There's times that I'm still embarrassed to say like, oh, I'm using Rogaine or I'm taking a DHT blocker to stop my hair from falling out. But at the same time, what's more embarrassing is walking around the way that I was with all these patches up in the front. And, you got to get help, or you don't have to get help. You could just feel sorry for yourself. But I'm not in the business of feeling sorry for myself. Take control of your life and make things happen. And I did. And I am very, very pleased with the results. Over the last couple of weeks, I have not been going as ham as I was initially. Like you guys remember, I was like, I'm taking the DHT blocker 2 times a day. I'm using the Rogaine every day. I'm doing the shampoo. I kind of made myself level off, because it's like, in the grand scheme of things, is that something I'm going to be able to keep up for the rest of my life? Probably not. So I do take the DHT blocker. I've been taking it once daily. I said I need to start taking it twice daily because it does kind of help a little bit better to not have that going on. I also realized that during the summer, when I started to dwindle down from the 1 time a day to 2 times a day, that I kept getting acne along my jawline. And when I looked it up, because all your acne, wherever it pops up, is a signal that something's going on with your body. And when I looked it up, it said acne that goes along your jawline has to do with your testosterone levels. And of course, we all know, or if you're new to the show, I have to keep my estrogen low because of my endometriosis. So I'm on a very low dosage of birth control that kind of keeps my estrogen as low as possible. But because of that, the testosterone that I have in my system kind of gets amped up, and that also has to do with, my hair loss. So I found out when I was doing it twice a day, I didn't have the jawline pimples anymore. During the summer, I dropped it down to the once a day. Those jawline pimples started to come back. And I have been fighting them at least once to twice a month, especially around that time of the month. And I'm like, yeah, it had to be that DHT blocker was helping me to keep that at bay. So that's one benefit of taking the DHT blocker. Aside from it helping my hair grow, it's also keeping my acne all along my chin line, at a very minimum. So like I said, I've been trying to take it at least twice a day, and I didn't have any breakouts, this time around. So that tells you something. And yeah, that's my life when it comes to the androgenic alopecia. Like, I do the shampoo once a week. I do the Rogaine in conjunction to working out because, like I said, it still makes your hair, regardless of if it's oil or not, it gives my hair a really tacky feel, like really sticky. It doesn't feel good. So I work putting Rogaine in around my workout schedule when I know I'm about to wash my hair. So if I'm going to work out, like today, I'm waiting for that email to come through and whether or not they're going to cancel the class or not, I'm going to go put the Rogaine on just before the class if I know I'm going to take a class. If not, I'm not going to wash my hair probably until tomorrow. So I'm not going to do anything in regards to the Rogaine until tonight and then tomorrow, and then I'll wash my hair. But yeah, I just work that around my schedule. So sometimes, just depending, and especially during this summer when I was just like being lazy bones and I wasn't going to spin class and or working out as much, I was only washing my hair like once to maybe twice a week. And the twice a week, I'm pushing it on that. If I was lazy enough, I wasn't doing it. So yeah, I was only doing Rogaine maybe once, 2 times a week, if even that. And I don't know, I was looking at myself and seeing like, it felt like I didn't have as much hair growth. But again, I went to the doctor, she took the pictures, and I still do have a good amount of hair growth. It's just not as much as I would like it to be at this point. So that's why I'm just trying to keep up the regimen that I have and just going from there. But yeah, androgenic alopecia, take that, hi-ya. And I did karate moves. You can't see my hands, but I just chopped it. Bah. Number 3 that happened, I had the t-shirt debacle of 2018 where I was talking about I was going to lob freaking rotten eggs at somebody's house. I was talking about they were living in their parents' basement. I was like ripping on them. I was digging holes. My favorite, digging holes. I was mad at these people, like for real. And the resolution to that whole thing, it did get resolved, just so you know. But I believe on the last podcast, and I said I was going to listen to it. See, this is why I should have did this podcast right after I edited the last podcast, because it was fresh in my mind. Now I'm just going off of notes that I wrote down during the last podcast. But I think I told you that they sent me the shirts and it said C4 and C4 for both Chicky and Charles. And I was like, what in the HE double hockey sticks is going on? And they were supposed to send the replacement to our family friend's place in Pasadena. And I was like, we're probably not even going to get it before we go to Disney. This whole thing is going to be ruined. I'm just going to be angry the entire time. And I told you guys, if you could do a Back to the Future, like, wish me good luck, but at the same time I didn't post it until August, so there was no way for you guys to actually wish me good luck, but it was like a post futuristic. I don't know what I was trying to say there, and I still don't know what I'm trying to say, but regardless, I think if you heard it after the fact, you did send me good wishes and it went to the past because I did get my shirts. The shirts came in that freaking Friday. Can you believe that? Like, I had that whole discrepancy with them for however many weeks, and then I talked to them on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and they got it to California, from Illinois to California in like 3 days, but they couldn't get it from Illinois to Maryland. without having some weird shipping delays. I don't know. Maybe they were just afraid that I was really gonna like go ham on them on their review page, and that's where they were like, let's get this girl her stuff because she's gonna blow us up. And I literally was gonna blow them up, but they got it to the family friend's house on Friday. Everything worked out. I ended up using the C4 shirt that was in a male large size. I ended up using it for photos on Chiki's birthday. And I said from here on out, I got this whole thing from another mom on Instagram, which I thought was always the cutest thing, and I just never implemented it. But I said from here on out, every time it's his birthday, he's going to wear that shirt, and I'll take a picture to show how he's growing. And then, of course, like, I'm thinking maybe on his 18th birthday, we'll go to Disney again, and he'll get to wear the shirt, and it should fit regular size. So I think that's super cute. And even now, I'm like smiling at the idea of it because it's such a cute idea. And like I said, I got it from another mom on Instagram, and she said she got it, I think, from Oprah or something like that. She took a shirt and she takes a picture and her son in it every year, and I thought that is just the cutest idea. And so this completely worked out in my favor, that not only did we get the shirts that we wanted, everybody's names were correct, I also got an extra shirt that I could actually take a picture with Chiki every year and be super cute about it, and then we can take it and use it for his 18th birthday and do this thing all over again. So, and I did also leave them a good review. I left a review saying exactly what happened. I didn't like hold any punches, that things kept getting miscommunicated and whatnot, but in the end, they resolved my issue in a timely manner, in the time that I needed it done. Not in a timely manner because it took way too long for 3 shirts to get to here and there. But I did give them a good review overall for actually resolving my issue right when I needed them to resolve it. So, number 4, I said that I wanted to do a podcast over the summer with my niece and my nephew. Obvi, that didn't go to plan. I didn't do any podcasts with them. I did do a podcast with my friend Megan. We did White Chicks, which is something we've been saying that we were going to do over and over again, and we just never did. If you are new to my channel, you probably listened to it. I put it on as my crossover shows because that is a part of her podcast. She does movie reviews. I posted our first one that we did together, which was Back to the Future, which is my favorite. It was my initial podcast, and I loved everything about that podcast. I listen to it now, and I just get so giddy because it was the perfect podcast. This podcast right now, with me by myself, sometimes I am not a fan of it because I'm just by myself talking, and I'm laughing at my own jokes and all that jazz, and it just feels really sad. But when you have somebody to riff with, it feels so much better. So that gives you an insight as to why you'll have TV shows and radio shows with multiple people, because they want people to go back and forth and have different opinions and stuff like that. It does feel a little bit fuller when it comes to a show to have other people in there. So I posted the Back to the Future one, and I posted the one for White Chicks. So again, if you're new to this particular podcast, those aren't things that happen very often. It usually happens when I'm in Dallas and we'll pick a movie to watch that we love to watch together and laugh at, and then we'll do it together. But other than that, she has her own podcast, Megan's Movies Podcast. Check it out. It is on iTunes as well. She is one of the funniest people that I know, and I love her to death. She's pregnant with her first baby, which is so exciting because just like myself, she was trying for a long time to have a baby, and it finally happened. She's having a baby girl in the spring, and I'm so excited for her, especially because the baby's name is going to be Isadora. I don't even know. I think it's like Issa. I don't even know. Whatever the baby's name is going to be. But she's thinking of calling her Issa for short, which I'm in love with Issa Rae because I've been watching Insecure, or I had watched Insecure over the summer. So I'm excited for little baby Issa Bae is what I've been calling her. So again, congratulations to my friend Megan for being pregnant. Like, that's a big thing, but it is a big thing when you've been trying for a long time. I understand it so well. But yeah, during the summer, that is the only podcast that I did. And hopefully, fingers crossed, some point we are going back to Texas for baby Issa's baby shower. So maybe, and I don't want to talk it into existence, but I do want to talk it into existence. I don't want to jinx it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that I'll do a podcast with my niece and my nephew. It may happen, it may not. You know, every time I go home, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast with them. Ooh, the sun is coming out. Oh, that makes me so happy. And I just looked and it doesn't look like my spin class is canceled. Oh my God, everything's coming together today. So excited. But anyway, but you guys know I'm always saying that, like, yeah, I want to do a podcast with my niece and my nephew, and I never do. So don't hold your breath, but know that I keep trying. I do keep trying to do this particular podcast with them. So we'll see if it comes to fruition or not. The next thing, my summer was crazy. Like, oh my God, guys, I can't even put into words how crazy my life was. Like, it was like Mi Vida Loca, but without like the quinceañeras, and like I think they had drug stuff going on in that movie. I can't remember. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I don't even think I watched the movie all the way through. I know I saw like bits and parts of it, but like, regardless, I just had a crazy summer. I just took a sip of my salted caramel mocha. You know me, my salted caramel mocha. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. Anyway, so yeah, my summer. You guys know that I left for California, and then from California, I mean, we were there for a week and we didn't stop. Like, literally every day we were doing something, which is what happens on vacations, and that's why people need vacations from their vacations. But we went to California, we did the whole Disney thing, and then my son and I ended up staying in Texas for another 3 weeks. During that 3 weeks in Texas, I mean, we were pretty laid back. But the one thing is, I have a friend that is in Texas. We worked together while we were in high school. She was actually my boss, even though we were around the same age. She was an assistant manager at Sam Goody. Sam Goody? When I worked at Sam Goody when I was, oh no. She just texted me, class is canceled. And the sun just went away. It knew. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna shine some rays on you. Oh no, now the class is canceled, so I'm gonna go away. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, so no class today. Big whoop. It is a big whoop, because this is literally the only class I'm probably gonna be able to take this week, because her schedule is all off the chain. 7:30 is way too late to start a class. I'm sorry. But anyway, I'm going to get back to it. I'm not going to be angry. I'm just going to keep moving. So yes, I have a friend that her daughter is just under a year younger than my son, and she's one of those moms. She's a stay-at-home mom, but she does like little side businesses. She does cakes and stuff like that, and little cute little sides for kids for back to school and stuff like that. But she stays home primarily, but she's like ham when it comes to like activities. Chicky and I will do the occasional activity maybe once every other week. We'll go someplace. We'll go to Disney Junior, dance party. We'll do an activity like I want to take him to ice. I don't know if you guys have ice in your area, which sounds so ridiculous that that's what they call it, ice. But it's usually in a place and they have all these ice sculptures and it has a theme or whatever. And I want to take him to that, and I'm probably going to do that maybe the next week or two, because I think the prices go up as of next week. So yeah, we do an activity maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, just depending on what's going on. But my goodness, like my friend Monica, she has an actual app, which I'm so peeved about, because it's like, I didn't do this particular app, but I had an app just similar to this. I mean, I feel like I have so many great ideas. I just don't have a way to implement them. And it just makes me mad, because it's like somebody else will come out with the same thing. And I'm like, why didn't I do something? Like, how do I do something about that? But anyway, so she even has an app where she puts in like, oh, we're going here, we're going there, we're going there. And people sign up and say, okay, we're going to come too. And then you have like a playgroup / group of kids that are around your kid's age that you can go to these things to. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it before. I probably have. I probably haven't. I can't remember. But I'm not too keen on a lot of kids. There are times where I don't even like my own kid. You know what I'm saying? So I am not the biggest fan of play dates, and I hate to be that kind of mom. But yeah, I am not a big fan of play dates. And it's only because like kids at this, especially at this age, like when they were babies, 6 months, even like 12 months, 18 months, they're a lot cuter. to deal with. You can't understand half the crap they're talking about, but I feel like they were a little bit easier. And I knock on wood when I say that, because every stage I'm like, oh my God, like, can we get past this stage? Can we get past this stage? And then once you get past that stage, the next stage is even harder. And right now, I don't have a three-nager like I did last year. I have a 4-year-old, which I don't even know if there's a classification for it. But like, if the classification is like wanting to strangle their neck like 24/7, that's what it should be in. Because I am arguing with this kid all the time. The amount of back talk, the amount of like explaining away why he's doing something bad, why he had to do it the way that he did it, why he doesn't have to necessarily listen to me. It's phenomenal, and it's aggravating. And to do that times like 5 other kids, not really my cup of tea. But we did these little play dates, and we actually ended up making friends with one of the friends that she normally has play dates with. She has 2 kids. Now she has 3. She was pregnant at the time, but she had a son, has a son named Eli, who is a year older than Chicky, and him and Chicky got on like gangbusters. It was great. Now, of course, they had their typical kid things where they're just like, he did this or he did that. But for the most part, 90% of the playing that they did together, the hanging out they did together, was spot on. Chicky is a little bit heavy-handed when it comes to kids. Like, he wants to grab and hold or give hugs. Sometimes he's not necessarily trying to be rough. He really isn't, but it comes off as being rough. Eli was all about it, and it was perfect. And he was just as rough with Chicky as Chicky was with him. And I loved every minute of it. And then she has a daughter, Scarlett, who is, I believe, 2, going on 3. And she loved Chicky too. As a matter of fact, I think she was flirting with Chicky. I'm like, calm down, little girl, because we're not having that business right now. But yeah, like, they got along very well. So Monica has this, like I said, this little app where she's like, we're doing this, we're doing that. And literally, I kid you not, guys, she was doing activities 4 out of 7 days of the week. And I'm like, we can sign up for one once a week just so we can get out the house and do something with other kids. Because it's hot in Texas. You can't just walk to the park and not just feel like you're going to pass out. Literally, the walk to the park is enough for you to say, okay, I'm ready to go home. So I'm like, we'll do 1 out of the 500 activities you have in a week, but we can't do all 7. So we did a couple of activities with her once a week, the 3 weeks we were there, and then spending time with family and friends and stuff like that. And yeah, we got back home and we ended up doing other stuff where we went camping for a weekend. We did, and of course my mind is going blank because it happened so long ago because I waited so freaking long to do this podcast. But yeah, it was like we were literally doing something every week. Going to the park, we barely did that, especially towards the end, even though it's funny, towards the end we did more park stuff than in the beginning because, I don't know, I just was in a weird, funky place. I don't know what the haps was with that, but I was just very odd about it. But yeah, we went to the park a handful of times where previous summers we were at the park like every other day. And it's funny because we ended up going to the park on like the hottest days. If you don't live in the Maryland area, let me explain this to you. During this summer, it was either blistering hot, and not even temperature wise, it'd be like 85 degrees. But with the heat index and the humidity, it felt like 101. It was really bad. So it was either those days or it was raining. It rained so much this summer. My neighbor told me that she had read someplace that in Maryland this summer alone, we had more rain than like Seattle had all year. Freaking Seattle. Now, if you've never been to Seattle, it rains all the time in Seattle. I've only been to Seattle once in my life, and I spent a week there, and it rained every day of that week. I had dreams of like, oh, maybe I'll move to Seattle at some point in my life. No, it rained all the time. It was dreary all the time. And again, it was only a week, but still, that week is enough to say, yeah, I don't think I can take like all this rain all the time. We even recently, my husband and I, had thought about moving to Portland at some point. Like, I really liked the atmosphere of Portland. I've never been, but of course I just looked at pictures and the architecture and how the house styles are and how it's one of the like bustling cities for millennials, which, I'm like on the cusp end of millennialism, but I'm actually a zennial. which is something I'm going to talk to you guys about in a future podcast if you've never heard that word. But yeah, we were talking about doing Portland, but it's like, yeah, it's a lot of rain and a lot of white supremacists, so that's not fun either. But yeah, like it rained a lot this summer, so I don't know. It was just, craptastic to the point where I just felt like not doing anything. I came back and was like, yeah, I'm going to get back into spin classes. I'm going to get into weightlifting again because my shoulder has been acting up. And I know when I work out with weights that my shoulder, I guess because I'm working out the muscles and the muscles are pushing out those nerves that are like compacted, I feel so much better. But I was gung-ho for about a week, maybe two. And then it was like, yep, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I just didn't have the motivation. And you guys know I have that from time to time where I just don't feel motivated to do anything. I just want to wallow in whatever misery that I have. And then something snaps and I go back to normal. But this summer it was like, I don't know, it was a continual cycle. I'd have a good day, but then I'd have like 5 bad days. Then I'd have another good day. And then I'd have 10 bad days. And to this day, I still haven't pinpointed it. I just made myself start doing things again. Now, I still haven't done any weightlifting, and I don't know how long, but I have been going back to spin class. I have been doing spin class religiously for maybe the last 2 months. Although, like I said, she's doing like extra stuff in her little, she moved. Okay, before she had just one room, so she could only do so much. Now she is in a building where she has 2 rooms. So now she's like, I want to do trap yoga, which, what the frick is a trap yoga? I'll talk to you guys about that later because I can go on for hours about that. But she's doing trap yoga, she's doing Pilates, she's doing some martial arts, self-defense class, some like step class. And it's just like, it's so many things that it's too much. And because she's doing those classes, and it's not just her, it's other people who are actually doing these classes, but the way the studio is, it's so confusing. But whatever, she was offering 6 o'clock classes and I was all about those 6 o'clock classes. That means I'm home by 7. I can get my kid ready without it being a whole rigmarole of me coming in at 8 instead of at 7 and stuff like that. Like I said, I am not taking no 7:30 class. That's not how my life is about. But yeah, like, other than that, like, it was just a crazy, crazy summer. So once my son went back to school, because I don't know if anybody else is listening to me that's a stay-at-home mom. Even if you are a working parent, no, I guess it doesn't apply to you if you're a working parent. It really doesn't. It only applies to you if you're a working parent that takes off the summer with your kids. During the summertime, Instagram, all the little mom things that I followed during the summer on Instagram, every mom was saying the same thing. How they're like, oh my God, I can't wait for the kids to go back. These kids are driving me nuts. And that's literally what it was. Like my son, because, I was used to having him gone 2 days out of the week. I had that time to decompress, to do something that I wanted to do, to not have somebody like nip, 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 nip to me every 5 seconds about what I'm asking him to do or whatever. The summer, it was like we were together all the time. And it was exhausting. And I think that's probably a little bit of why I was in a bit of a funk. Not because I had to spend time with my son, but because all of my time was spent with my son. And it was just, I don't want to say hellacious because I love him to death. I love him to the moon and back. I would like karate chop, axe murder anybody who tried to harm him. But it's like, at the same time, you still need that break from your kids. So parents who work full time, you get that break. And of course, you probably feel guilty for having that break. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But it's like when your whole entire life revolves around one person, your whole entire life is spent with one person, it's like there needs to be some kind of break. And it doesn't matter if it's a friendship, if it's a relationship, a marriage, whatever. You do need that break from that person so that you can have that, like, oh my God, when you see them again. And that's how I feel. He's back to school, and it's like I pick him up, and I'm like, yay, for about 10 minutes, and then he sasses me, and I'm like, ooh, can you go back to school? But no, so yeah, I think that was some of the stuff that was happening during the summer that just made me feel like I just couldn't do anything. And so once he went back to school, like, I had my time to myself again, and I binge watched all the shows, all of the shows. I told you guys that it's like, oh, I want to watch TV and I never have time to watch TV. That's why I reformatted the whole show, and I might even reformat it again. I don't even know why. I don't understand what I'm trying to do, but whatever. But yeah, that's why I tried to reformat it, because I wanted to be able to do more things for myself, read books, watch shows, and I still hadn't found that happy medium. And then over the summer, my time spent with myself was literally at night. I would stay up until like 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, very badly, and that's probably why I was in a bad mood during the day, was because of that. But I was binge watching all of the shows, and I'm going to be doing some like follow up on that on future podcasts, talking about the shows that I got to catch up on, what my favorite ones were during the summer. But yeah, so once he went back to school though, I was binge watching during the day. One of the shows that I had binged was Ozark with Jason Bateman, which was so good, and never thought I'd ever see Jason Bateman's butt in my entire life, and Ozark gave that to me. So right there, hands down, one of the best shows in the entire universe. But yeah, I was watching Ozark, a typical, like I watched a lot of shows that first initial like month that my son went back to school. And then it was like, okay, I need to get back to doing the podcast, and I'm gonna get into it, and we're gonna start doing shows. And like I said, where it's like, don't put off today what you could. No, that's not the one. Don't put off tomorrow what you could do today. Yeah, that's it, or something to that effect. And yeah, so October, I'm like, yeah, after taking August and September off, trying to figure out me and do me and all that jazz, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start doing podcasts again. And then my son comes down with hand, foot, and mouth. Now, if you're not a parent, or even if you are a parent, you never heard this before, I started to hear about it once I became a parent. And I was like, you're nasty if your kid catches that disease. Like, they call it a disease. That makes you feel like, oh my God, are you guys living in squalor? Like, what the crap? I remember somebody, an old neighbor of ours, her daughter is, I think, the same age as our son, maybe a month or two younger or something like that. I don't know. But she got it like 2 years ago, and I'm like, ew. So, that's why you shouldn't mom shame. So there was a memo that went around at Chicky's school maybe a week before he got it. And it was like, oh, there's been 2 reported cases of hand, foot, and mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, should I burn all his clothes and cut his hair off? Like, what should I do? And he ended up catching it. It was literally on the Thursday that I was like, I'm going to do a podcast today. That the Wednesday before, started to show signs of like a little rash around his mouth. And at first I was like, well, maybe I just didn't wipe his mouth good enough last night after dinner. Maybe that's the thing. But then he was acting kind of weird all day. Like, he'd want to play his video game, and then he'd start to play his video game, and then he's like, no, I don't want to play it anymore. And I'm like, that should have been my first indication that he was getting sick. But yeah, by the end of the day, he had it all over his hands and his feet. The next 2 nights were horrendous. He did not sleep more than maybe 20 to 30 minutes at a time. He was scratching and screaming and itching, and it was the most horrible time that I've ever had with him. He's not a sick kid, again, knock on wood. He gets, the occasional cold with the cough and the postnasal drip and stuff like that. He's thrown up a handful of times. I can count it on one hand the amount of times he's physically gotten sick and thrown up. But it was the worst possible thing that can ever happen. Like, it was so bad. That took 2 weeks to get over. Literally 2 weeks. He was out of school for 2 weeks, which was one of those things that I told you I was going to start looking for a job this time, around, so that I could contribute to, society. I can contribute to my house in regards to money and stuff like that, because I'm starting to pick up a lot of expensive habits. You got spin class, which I ended up getting a deal. Remember I told you it was like $149. I got it for $99, which is still too expensive for unlimited. But I guess, when you do something you love, you have to pay extra for it. And I'm actually kind of thinking, and keep this to yourselves, I'm thinking of becoming a spin instructor. Isn't that crazy? Again, that's something else I'll talk to you about in another episode, but don't tell anybody, okay? Because I haven't really talk to that many people about it, like maybe 3 people. But yeah, so you have that, you have spin. I just started getting my nails done, which I'm not going to do again, but they're called S&S nails, which is like a step above when it comes to gel manicure. It lasts, guys. Like, other than your nails growing out, I got mine redone after 3 weeks, and I could have gone even longer. It hadn't chipped, smudged, nothing. I could have gone probably another 2 weeks if I wanted to be really gross about it. But yeah, it really lasts. But those dang on things called $47. $47. That's not including a tip. Now, the only reason why Joanna and I even did it was because the nail salon that we went to, it's a place that we went to during the summer that, I don't know, we read really good reviews on it. I think Joanna found it on Facebook or something. But they give you complimentary wine, beer, and stuff like that when you go to get your nails done, which is really nice. It's a really nice perk. And because I hadn't gone in like, I think like 2 months or so, they sent a coupon for 20% off. So I'm like, okay, well, 20% off is around like $10 off. I'm really estimating, high estimation here, which is as much as you would pay for gel manicure. So I'm like, let's just try it. If it works out, it doesn't. If it does, at least we know that it's something that we might want to do at some point. Well, of course it did. So we went again. And this time they sent me 2 coupons. They only sent Joanna like 1 coupon, and it was like for $5 off. They sent me 2 20% off, one to my email, one to my text. So because I'm a swindler, we used mine the first time via text, and then I had her use it on her email because I forwarded her the email so that we can use it again. But yeah, it's like, I don't know life without S&S nails, but I'm just going to have to live without it because I'm not paying $47 plus a tip to get my nails done. It's not that critical for me. But yeah, I've been picking up a lot of like expensive habits. So I said that I wanted to find a part-time job, but after the whole hand, foot, and mouth thing, it was like there was no way that I could actually get a job when I started to think about it. Because it's like, if I had a job, if I had started job hunting, because I said, and I was actively looking for jobs at the end of September. I said, I'm going to look for a job, and it's going to be something part-time, 2 to maybe 3 times a week, and it's not going to be a big deal. And then Chicky got sick, and it's like, if I had started a job at the end of September, and my son got sick 2 weeks later, for an entirety of 2 weeks, would I still have that job? No. No way in heck would anybody still keep me employed unless it was somebody that I knew, or a I don't even know if it was a family-owned business, if they would do it. It literally have to be a place that I had been at for forever, and they know that I'm not just faking it, or something where I'm not of high value, so me not coming in for 2 weeks wasn't a big deal. And if I'm working at a place where I'm not of high value, they don't need me anyway, So I started looking into another option, which is something I'm going to be doing after I finish this podcast, which is Shipped. I'm going to be doing grocery delivery for people. And again, another podcast for another time. But yeah, it was just like, that awakened me to like, wow, this is what it's like to be a working parent and having to do like child related stuff. And it's mind blowing because I'd never had to worry about that. And it's not like my husband can't take my son if I had to, but he couldn't take him for 2 weeks. That just wouldn't go. It wouldn't go at all. And just to let you know why it took 2 weeks, his case was so severe that his doctor thought it was actually impetigo, which is an infection, not a disease. And there's so many classifications. You don't learn these things until you're a parent, that there's a classification for each type of thing that's going on. So hand, foot, and mouth is a disease. It basically has to run its course just like any common cold. It's so contagious. This thing is highly contagious because, like I said, I'm like, ew, that must mean you live in squalor. It's not because you live in squalor. It's literally so contagious that if you are in a room with somebody else who has it and they have a fever, you can catch it. Like, ain't that some crazy mess? Like, you could just be in the room with somebody who has it and catch it just because they have a fever. So freaking crazy. And Chicky never had a fever. The entire time he had it, he never had a fever. And that's one of the first symptoms, is the fever. So that's crazy in and of itself. But yeah, it's like, it's very highly contagious. And apparently there was a big, like, I don't want to say like a outbreak of it, but I ended up seeing on another friend's Facebook page that her daughter ended up getting it from her daycare. And it kind of peed me off because my friend Joanna said that she saw that the baby's father had taken the kid to the park, and I'm like, she's highly contagious. He was talking about it on Facebook, like, oh, you need to watch your kids because this is going around and it's very severe for her, and she's not getting any rest and it's so bad, blah 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 blah. But then you take her to the park so other kids can get it. So obviously you're not paying attention. And the thing is with hand, foot, and mouth is that if you are an adult, you should have had it at some way, shape, or form in your life. Okay, whether that be, I guess, like pink eye, which I had pink eye, and I guess that's why I didn't catch it. My husband said that he doesn't ever remember having it. His mom said he never had it, but he had to have some kind of strand of it, and that's why he didn't get it. Because, I mean, like I said, it's very, very contagious, especially when they have the sores on their hands. And Chicky had sores all over his hands, his mouth. It was so bad. I felt bad for him. He didn't want me to take pictures of him because he said he didn't like the way he looked. We had to do Snapchat pictures because, Snapchat is like a mystical god. It makes the ugliest of ugly pretty again, I guess. And we were taking Snapchat pictures and you couldn't really even see, all the crap on his face. And my husband was like, I don't like that technology. That is like the worst technology ever because, yeah, it does mask a lot of imperfections, which is why I take all my selfies on Snapchat. But yeah, it's very, very contagious. And like I said, it kind of peed me off that he took the kid with him having it because he ended up catching it. So he must not have had it ever in his life. And then his kid having it and he took him to the park. But yeah, it was so bad. It was like the worst thing ever. And that took 2 weeks. And then, of course, that brings us right into the end of October, going into November. And that's the holiday season. And you guys know last year during this time of season, I was doing podcasts like sporadic as I don't know what, because it's like I get into holiday mode and I'm trying to get presents together. I'm trying to get this together. I still haven't made my kid's 4-year-old birthday book. His birthday was in June. It's just crazy town, crazy town, crazy town, which is why I haven't been able to do, the whole podcasting thing or whatever. And I need to wrap this up because I'm almost at an hour. See, famous last words. I'm always like, oh, it's not going to take a long time, guys. I'm just going to do it real quick. And then I end up running my flipping mouth because that's what I do. So yeah, I am hoping, because I've done the majority of my Christmas stuff. Like my son's done for Christmas. He's done for his birthday too. There's a lot of stuff that went on sale or there was a blowout. If you bought this, you got this. I think a lot of the stuff, I'm just going to section it out and put a couple things away for his birthday so that I don't even have to worry about it. Because, I mean, he has way too many things. Way too many. But you know me, I can't pass up a sale. I can't pass up a sale. I can't pass up a coupon. And there were so many things that was like, oh, 20% off. And if you buy this, you get 30% off something else. And if you buy this, you get a 10% discount on something else. Oh, and then because you spent $50, now you're getting a $10 gift card. So there was all those things going on that I was like, I have to get it. So like I said, he's done for Christmas. He's done for his birthday. I just got to divvy that out. So I'm hoping that I will be able to stay on a regimen now through the end of the year, except for the Christmas thing. It's Podcast Tuesday during Christmas and New Year's. Those are both on Tuesdays. I'll probably have to do those on Thursdays and see how that works out. But yeah, hopefully there will not be any other hiccups that will keep me from giving you my beautiful voice, once a week. But yeah, 2 other things that happen, and I'm going to go ahead and end the show on that, is butter. Of course, if you listen to me, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't listen to me, you don't. But I was telling you about Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson, which RIP to that relationship. I told you that was going to go to the wayside, lickety split. I thought they'd actually make it through the new year. They didn't even make it through the end of summer. RIP on that one. But yeah, during their whole whirlwind courtship, I was saying, like, sometimes when you meet somebody, it's like butter. And it made no sense, but I told you to start using it during the summer. I hope that was a catchphrase that you actually use. It's like butter. But I told you the reason why I was saying that is because I had a coworker that would say butter to me or call me butter, and I couldn't remember why. And I mentioned it to my niece, and she was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The reason why she said butter to you was because she heard us use your nickname." Now, again, I told you when I was doing the search that my family, a nickname that they call me is Bud, B-U-D, and it comes from the Cosby Show. But my niece has her entire life called me Bud. It's really weird. I don't think I've ever heard her call me Mackenzie. Same thing with my nephew. He used to call me Cookie, and then I just said I hadn't have any breakouts on my chin, and now I feel a breakout. Like, what the f? But anyway, he went from calling me Cookie to Bud, and my youngest niece, I think she calls me Bud too. Nobody calls me Mackenzie. So anyway, so she heard my niece call me Bud, or my sister, one of the family members, and she was like, "Did they just call you Butter?" And I said, "Oh my God, that's exactly what happened." See, that's the difference between having somebody who doesn't have any kids, they don't have age like deteriorating their brain. They can actually remember something. And she remembered that the reason why she called me Butter was because she thought that they called me Butter instead of Bud. So that whole thing has been cleared up in case you were like dying to figure out what's going on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go back to like, I don't know, episode 26, maybe 25. And I mentioned that it's like butter. It's butter, baby. So yeah, butter is because she thought I was being called Butter instead of Bud. And then the last thing is about my Invisalign. If you don't hear it, everybody says that they can't hear it. I can hear it. The lisp is back, and I'm so mad at myself because again, I had so many opportunities to do this podcast during a certain time. I haven't had my Invisalign in my mouth during the day for probably the last 6 weeks up until last week. So I could have been doing podcasts and felt normal again without this little slight lisp that I have. Megan says that she can't hear it. I hear it every time I listen to myself. And again, I think it's because I know what I sound like when I don't have them in, as opposed to when I do have them in. But yeah, the whole Invisalign debacle. Right after episode 28, I received a phone call from them saying that my retainers had come in. And remember I told you I was like, I'm going to go the whole summer, or not the whole summer, but I'm going to go like an extra 5 weeks with this worn out retainer. And she said, just don't wear it during the day and blah, 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 blah. They ended up coming in. They were another one that I wanted to like throw rotten eggs at. And the people, the staff, they're still horrible. They're still so bad. There's one person that works there. He has a very heavy accent. Obviously, English is not his first language. He's called me multiple times either speaking Spanish, and even after I speak English, he's still like half speaking Spanish to me before he realizes, oh yeah, I should probably just speak English to her. Or like he doesn't understand like half of what like we're saying. Like he tried to verify that I had an appointment the next day, and I was like, I don't think I do unless my new retainers have come in. And he was like, yeah, it's an Invisalign appointment. So I waited an hour or two and then called back and ended up speaking to somebody, and she was like, yeah, your retainers haven't come in, so you don't have an appointment. It's a whole thing. I still hate that office. I really do. And I can't wait to be done with this whole Invisalign thing. But I did get them. They did put them on lickety-split for me just before my trip, which was great. The only thing is, the last 2 times, I've done this too. We've done 2 revisions. Right at the end, my teeth don't line up. You remember that's the reason why I had to get the last revision. And then with this new set, I had to get another revision. So I've had 2 revisions. And this last one, same thing. I was on like retainer number 6, and they put new attachments on. They didn't fit. So the last 6 weeks I've been out without, any retainers in my mouth. And last week I got them back in, and I have another 6 weeks on this retainer. And then she said, after this, we should only be doing 1 more correction, and then I should be done. And I'm like, I am so done with my Invisalign. I cannot stand to have them in anymore. And the thing is, she did tell me 12 to 18 months. Okay. Of course, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be done in August. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then it was like, oh, I'm going to be done in September, October. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Now it's like, I'm not going to be done until like the beginning of summer, basically. So there's my entire 18 months with Invisalign, and it's not horrible as I'm making it out to be. I mean, I could have full-on braces, although with the full-on braces, with them not having to do new trays and stuff, I'd probably be done. But, at the same time, I love the fact that I don't look like a teenager when I smile. I can take photos and nobody really knows unless like it's really close on me. So I just, again, I'm trying to be zen about certain things and not get overworked about things, because I've been getting overworked about a lot of different things happening in my life recently. And I just want to, the things that I can push them aside and know that there's nothing that can be done. So there's no point in even getting upset about it and letting it be the way that it is. But yeah, I'm still with the Invisalign. I'm still Cindy Brady over here with the lisp and the spit and the all the stuff that just goes along with it. And of course, it's holiday time, and I've been snacking like nobody's business because I was only putting the retainers in at night. Holy heck, it hurts when you wait a full like 10 hours to put retainers in, just let me tell you, if you've never had braces. But like, I was living my life. I would take them out in the morning, brush my teeth, go over my day, and then at the end of the night, brush my teeth again, put it back, and call it a night. But I'm back on that track, so cross your fingers that this 6 weeks goes without a hitch. I don't have any issues, which is, I'm really, really hoping that that's the case, and that this next revision is actually my last revision. She said it should be. She's like, there shouldn't be any reason why after we do the next revision why you shouldn't be completely done with the Invisalign. So let's hope that actually happens. But that's it, guys. That's today's show. That was the catch-up show, so you knew what was going on in my life, why I haven't been on for the last 6 months. I'm looking at a spider crawling on a plant. We brought a plant from outside because my husband was supposed to plant it into the ground. That's the only way it'll survive. And of course, he procrastinated and didn't. So we brought the plant inside, and now we're having all these little gnats and stuff, which is kind of aggravating, but I really like the plant. It's a hibiscus. And we named her because she's starting to sprout new buds. She's coming back to life. She was looking dead. We had a frost out of nowhere, maybe a couple of weeks ago, because I swear we're going to have a horrible winter. I have never, in the time that I've lived here for 11 years, haven't been so cold. Like, we had maybe 2 weeks of fall, and then it went straight to winter, which is why he never had time. We kept trying to figure out different places to plant it, and we just didn't have enough time to plant her. We brought her inside to see if she would come back to life, and she has. We have since named her Leilani, which I feel is a little racist. I mean, it is a hibiscus, which is from Hawaii, so Leilani feels like it's fitting, but Leilani feels like the most, like, I don't know, like basic Hawaiian girl name that we could come up with it. But that was the first thing that came to mind, was Leilani. And Leilani has a spider, like, falling down, coming back up. There's like little gnats flying around her, so she's really getting on my nerves. I gotta figure out a place to put her, because I don't want all that nonsense going on my dining room table. But anyway, I'm getting so distracted. But yeah, that's today's show. Join me next week, where I'll talk about one of the many topics that I was saying that I was going to talk about. Probably about the new job, and I'm using air quotes. It is a job. It's just not like your typical job. But my new job as a Shipt delivery person. You guys know that I talked about Shipt. If you're new, you don't know. And I hate saying if you're new, because I probably don't have any new listeners or anything like that. But if you're new, I talked about Shipt versus Restock with Target during sometime in my early episodes of like in the 20s and somewhere. So I am now delivering for them because it's the most flexible with my schedule. I did 3 runs last week and got $90, guys. Like, you can't beat that. Like, to deliver 3 people's groceries, I got $90. So I'll probably talk about that next week, and maybe something else. I might even, again, I'm going to jinx myself. I might try to do another podcast on Thursday, so that I have 2 podcasts that I can just edit over the weekend, because I don't see myself doing anything other than a spin class this weekend. But again, famous last words, I might end up doing 500 different things, because I always say I'm not going to do this on this day and end up doing something until the break of dawn. But yeah, hope you guys come back. I hope you guys are even listening, and I hope that you miss me as much as I miss talking to you, because I really have. Like, I've been doing podcasts in my head. You guys know I've told you this. I walk around doing podcasts sometimes in my head just to kind of get a feel for what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. And in this podcast that I've been doing, I told you I always make mess ups. I haven't made that many mess ups. That tells you how eager I have been to do this for you guys and for myself. Again, it always is something for myself. And yeah, I hope you guys tune in next week and have a good rest of your December. I'm so mad at myself. Like, I was supposed to do a Thanksgiving one. I was going to say gobble, gobble, just passed me by. Boo. I didn't get to do my holiday one. Boo. If you're an old listener, you understand about the boo thing from last October. If you're a new listener, you don't get it. And I just don't feel like catching you up. But other than that, have a good rest of your day, guys. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.
My mommy done talking now. This is how listening. Bye.